Day. It's a rainy day here. Hope you guys are doing well. So we got here Friday, August the 4th. Lots to report. And we're going to go over a few things. So most of you guys follow me are obviously either perhaps interested in real estate, investing in real estate, or wanting interest in real estate knowledge as a consumer, investor, or a lot of realtors. So for all of you, I've got some great info to give you today that's going to be able to help you as you move forward into this fall season. Now, as we know, in the fall, seasonally, you can look at housing. It pulls back some, so transactions slow. They're already slower all over in general. But as you look, up in the spring, down in the fall, and you can go back every single year throughout history, and it literally looks like this throughout the year, every single year. And so as antiquated as my little finger going up and down like that looks, that's exactly what happens. And so in the fall, you're going to have lower transactions. And we've gotten banged up with rates lately. This week was not a great week for interest rates, for long-term rates, but I'm going to give you some hope with that because even though rates ticked up into the mid sevens this week, and the reason for that was the U.S. credit rating got downgraded. So, and in addition to that, rates, with rates going up in this downgrade, it's just really kind of slowed things down. So the U.S. downgraded caused rates to rise. So Freddie Mac's primary mortgage market surveyed reported about a 9-week basis point rise in interest rates. So we're talking going from, 6.9 from August 3rd up from 6.8. So about 1/8%, 10 basis points. So Freddie Mac's chief economist, this is what he had to say about it: the combination of upbeat economic data. So that's the other reason, meaning that the data is still positive for the economy, meaning we're not really heading for a recession. We've had major institutions come out and say that. Jay Powell has now said they're no longer forecasting a recession. Bank of America also no longer forecasting a recession. So all the crash bros and all the negative people out there you have to understand that if you're on YouTube, there's a certain amount of people out there that I see on a daily basis putting out videos that have major followings, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 followers, and everything's negative. And here's what happens. There is about half of the country who just thinks negative. And that's the reason why they never get anywhere in life, because it's all negative and they just stay in this negative cesspool of negativity. And so it sells. Sex sells, negativity sells. And so it's disgusting that people prey on that and just decide that that's what they're going to report all the time, when guess what? Now there's no longer recession for the total economy being forecast. As I've told you in the last several weeks, the real estate recession has already occurred. What does that mean? Is that we've already seen the bottom. Now, the exceptions to that rule are going to be Seattle, San Francisco, places like that, who maybe are still going to see some declines, right? But why is that? Well, they went up about 90% over the course of just a 2 or 3 year span since COVID. So if you're up 90% and you go down 20%, if my math is right, you're still up 70%. So here's what's going to happen. Now, as we move into the fall and we move into the winter, at some point, the rates are going to start coming down. It could be the end of 2024. But while we're waiting, here's what's going to happen is the people are going to move further and further into the housing market. And these people that are sitting on the sidelines are going to start flooding the market again. and it's going to cause more pressure on the inventory. The fact of the matter is we just have a low amount of inventory, and there's foreclosures are at all-time lows. But you'll see the media manipulate the data and say foreclosure rates have doubled. Well, there was an entire moratorium on foreclosures. You could, meaning you were not allowed to foreclose. The government stepped in and said you can't foreclose. So if something doubles and it's virtually zero at the beginning, what are we talking about? We're talking about minutia. So you really have to start digesting who you're getting your information from. Remember, CNBC is one of the worst that you could be listening to, because Dinah Olick, who's actually somehow an Emmy award-winning reporter, has wrongly predicted a housing crash 9 times over the last 11 years. And so, those people who listen to her are still complaining. They're still shooting themselves in the foot. They're still kicking themselves, because they didn't purchase. And look, I want all of this is under the guys, or the not guys, but under the understanding. I want you guys to know that I'm sympathetic. It's like I have young people in my life that want to buy homes, relatives, friends, friends with kids that are of age that are ready to buy a home. And I get it. It's hard. But these rates are not 10 or 11%. It's not as if the home can't be bought. A lot of times when I'm talking to people, they're really sort of thinking, hey, I want to be able to buy where I rent my apartment, or where I rent my home. And sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you have to move further out into the county or further out away from town and bite the bullet and live there for a year or two, because that's where you're going to get better deals. You're going to have lower price points as you move further out. I live here in Nashville, the metro area, Metro Nashville. If you're trying to buy in East Nashville or West Nashville, it's hard. Those are popular spots. Hell, East Nashville is on the cover of GQ magazine. It's competitive. So a first-time buyer that's trying to look for a property that's $300,000, perhaps, they're going to have to move. They're going to have to look somewhere further out, 30 minutes away from town, 40 minutes away from town. They're going to have to go to the next county, and you're still in Metro Nashville. So I'm just using Metro Nashville as an example. So just to catch you up real quick on what's going on in the mortgage world, applications declined about 3% over a 7-day period. That's a pretty steep decline. Why? Rates. So applications will go down, but here's what will also go down: prices. Because when the sellers are also watching the news, they're seeing that rates go up. They're seeing they're getting less activity. So what are they likely to do? Some of these people need to sell. Life has happened. There's life circumstances where they need to sell, and they're getting divorced, or they've got to sell to get a bigger home for their family. Whatever the case may be, they maybe think about a job change and they need to move locations. Now they're going to lower the price, or they're going to be more friendly with giving concessions. So it works in an inverse relationship. Always remember, rates go up, prices will go down. When rates go down, prices are going to go up. And that's just how it works. So as we move into 24, 25 is predicted to be the biggest year in the history of real estate sales. And so think about that. I know it's daunting. It's like, hey, where do I buy? Well, the thing is, here's what the masses do. They try to wait and predict the bottom, and they always miss. What you want to do is catch it just before it hits the bottom. Well, we've already bottomed out. So now the question is, are you going to wait until it continues to go up another 5% this year, another 4%, 6% in 2025? And now all of a sudden they're 10% more. The $400,000 house that's $400,000 now is now worth, $420 or $440. And so this is not me just making up stuff. This is just how it works. You can look it up. You can do your own research, and I encourage you to do so. Also, definitely look up Dinah Olick and just Google how many times she has wrongly predicted a housing crash. So if you're listening to CNBC, you need to stop. All right. You need to stop listening to bad reporting. It's all about if you're not seeing that the media is in the profit business and they're in it to have you look, and if there's not something to get you all on a freaking stir, you're not paying attention. This is 2023, and their entire job is to get views. How to get you to watch? Well, what gets you to watch? Sensationalize things, drama, tragedy, gloom and doom, and it's just it's disgusting. It's despicable. And so I get sick of it because what you want to do is you want to have a positive plan. Look around and look at the successful people that the most successful people, and observe their attitude. All right. Their attitude is one of accomplishment, of figuring out the best solution given whatever the market is currently. There are closings that occur in every market, every single business day of the year. Every year, 300 some odd days a year, not closings on Saturday and Sunday, but Monday through Friday, closings are occurring. And so you have to ask yourself, what's going on? How are they getting better deals? Is it hard? It's hard. You're going to have to swing and miss on some offers, right? You're going to make more offers. You're going to get discouraged. But now is the time to buckle down and figure out, what is my game plan? If you don't need to buy a home right now, don't buy a home right now. But if you need to buy a home, I'm here to tell you that the prices are going to go up in 24 and 25. The decline has happened. Now, let's talk a little bit about new home sales. FHA loans are kind of making a comeback. And I think a lot of that is, keep in mind this, conventional loans make up about 73% of all loans closed. FHA, only about 14% of loans, but that is climbed up from 12%. So it's the largest share that we've had of FHA loans since about Q1 of 2021. VA loans also went up. So cash purchases made up about 6.5% of new home sales in the second quarter of 2023. And, I think with FHA making an uptick, you've got people that are really, anytime you're below a credit score of 700, FHA really becomes the more viable option for that borrower, unless they can get their score, which a lot of times my team and I will say, hey, you're at 680. Let's see what we can do. Look, we do a free analysis of their credit report to see what we can do to maybe get their credit up above 700, and then perhaps go the conventional route. FHA, remember, you have to have 3.5% down, but you have PMI, private mortgage insurance, which is really nothing more than foreclosure protection for the lender. So it really doesn't benefit you at all, but you get to pay it, right? Well, it's permanent on an FHA loan. You can't get rid of it ever. Conventional, on the other hand, if you have PMI, once you achieve 20% equity in your home by virtue of the home going up in value and by virtue of a combination of you paying the loan balance down, then you can actually apply to drop the PMI and your payment can actually go down. We do this. We help clients do this all the time. You don't have to refinance to do that. So very important. Couple things. International buyers pulling out right now. They're pulling out of the housing market because of high rates, soaring home prices, very few homes supply for sale, and a strong dollar, which has all made purchases less financially attractive for them. From April of last year to international buyers bought about 84,000 homes, and that's the lowest number since the NAR began tracking such purchases in 2009, and about a 14% drop from the year before. So overseas buyers, even though they bought fewer homes, they paid more for them. The median home price that was purchased was $396,400, the highest ever recorded. Now, here's where the top foreign buyers, the percentage are. And this is probably no surprise, but China comes in at number 1 at 13%, Mexico 11%, Canada 10%, and then wrapping up with India 7% and Colombia at 3%. Now, where are people buying? Where do you guess? I'm going to give you the top 5. Right now, top destinations where people are buying are Florida, 23%, California, 12% of buyers, Texas, 12%, North Carolina, 4%, and Arizona, 4%. So what I want you guys to realize, going back to interest rates, I know my team and I are not locking people on these rates in the sevens. We just do not, unless it's when I'm talking about a primary residence with somebody that's doing an FHA or conventional loan, the base rate, those days are over. We're not locking people and closing people at the main baseline rate. What does that mean? It means we're manipulating to get the rate down. We're doing a buy down. It means you pay a little bit more upfront to get a rate that's lower for the duration of the loan. The other thing you can do is have the seller pay that. You can have a combination of the seller and you paying that. The builder can pay it. New home sales, if you're looking for new construction, you're going to have some more options because these builders are more negotiable. They've got things on their books that they need to sell. Now, there's a lot of talk about commercial real estate taking a hit. Make sure that when you're hearing the news that you understand. I've seen, I don't know how many reports that come out, and you have to read for a moment before you start to realize, oh, they're talking about commercial taking a 50% hit. And so again, it's headlines. Just remember, people's jobs at the Wall Street Journal or USA Today or whatever publication you read, New York Times, their job is to get the headline. There's literally to make you read the article. So it's got to be some sort of sensationalism that's going on to really get you to read it half the time. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure you're getting good knowledge. I think the Wall Street Journal actually is a decent indicator. Many times, obviously, you've got people from both sides of the aisle. This is not a political statement. I don't get into politics. I can't stand it. And I wish that, we could just simply find news sources that actually just give the truth and not with a biased opinion. So as we move into this week, if you're looking to buy a home, there's a couple of options that I think, again, the buy down. Also, if you have at least 10% down and you're open to alternative forms of financing, the all-in-one loan is an incredible product. It combines two different products that you're accustomed to using. A fully functioning checking account. It's a sweep checking account. It's a two-way sweep checking account combined with a 30-year first lien position HELOC. It's the only first lien 30-year position HELOC in America. You can do some research on your own, allinOneLoan.com. If you're a person who thinks I would never buy a property with adjustable rate mortgages, you might be surprised to know that America is the only country, other than maybe one in the Scandinavian countries, that actually allows 30-year fixed mortgages. This is an Americanized product that is designed to allow people that have a strict budget to enter into the market. But the longer you stay in a loan, the more interest you pay in dollars. And so it's really the interest dollars that you spend that is the important thing, not the interest rate. Think about this connection, and it's maybe a little easier. I've said this in the past, but a 30-year fixed at 30-year fixed at 4%, 30-year fixed at 4% versus a 15-year at 7%. Which one do you pay less interest on? It's the 15-year at 7%. Well, we can make that connection easily because we know that you're in the loan shorter amount of time. So you just got to remember that. So if there's a product out there like the all-in-one loan that's a faster product in the pay down, the average pay down time is around 9 years or less. That's historically throughout the history of the loan. There's never been a default, never a delinquency, even not a 30-day late, not a 60-day late. Certainly, if you can't have lates, there's no defaults in the history of the product. Pretty strong product track record there, right? There's no other product that could really say that. Now, why isn't everyone doing it? Because there's a higher barrier of entry. You have to have 10% down. You have to have a 700 credit score. Your debt to income ratio absolutely must be below 42%, right? You have to have 10% reserves left over. If you're buying a property, your loan amount is $400,000, you've got to have $40,000 left over, 10% of the loan amount. So that's the reason. But I'll tell you this, We close about $100 million a month nationwide with this product across all channels. So it's a very powerful tool that many people use. Americans have more debt per capita, even though we've had low interest rates. Even in the twos, what did Americans do? Instead of having less debt and paying their debt down, they sucked equity out and spent it on other things. Maybe they upgraded their home, but the reality is, I'm only talking about the debt here. The debt went up. So you have way more debt per capita here than you do in other countries. Other countries use adjustable rate mortgages. So how do they do it? They use it with a two-way sweep account. It means that every time they make deposits into this new checking account that they deposit into, just like the all-in-one loan, which we modeled after these loans, these sweep accounts, these money merge accounts, ZBA accounts, these are all terms that have been around for decades. These type of loans were only available in the commercial world. So this loan, the all-in-one loan, was brought to market in 2005 here in the US for residential loans. And so since then, it's been incredible. There's been many people who pay off their home, pay it down to zero, and maybe they want to continue to keep the line open. And so they do. It can stay open for up to 30 years, and they end up deploying the funds to maybe buy another property, investment property, pay some medical expenses, pay for their parents' retirement home, bills, or maybe they decide that they want to improve their property, add on to their property, that sort of thing. So there's a myriad of opportunities that exist when you have the all-in-one loan. But again, it's not for everyone. But for those of you who can get approved and can qualify, it's a lot better option, because when you think about what's happening, the effective rate ends up being much less. The effective rate is getting into the fact it's factoring in what your total interest paid is. So you may have a rate that says, 7 or 8%, but if you pay it off in 7 or 8 years, your effective rate could be 2, 3, 4%. That's huge. So if you ever want any information on that, feel free to reach out. You guys have a great week. I'm here for you. See you on the next one.